I do want to jump into what we're actually talking about tonight, which is me and Steven doing some over-the-shoulder looks at results pages. So definitely something we've done in the past, kind of what we built this community around initially was just showing off how exactly we were having success with print on demand. So getting back to that a little bit, but really what we're trying to show you guys is how we're leveraging Amazon, not only where we would put the shirts or listings that we're creating, but what we would be putting there. So Steven's going to be sharing some tips on keywords, and I'm going to be sharing some tips on the art, and we'll just be talking about kind of this Goldilocks idea that we came up with of like, you know, is this too crowded? Is there too much competition here? Is it too flooded? Or is there just the right amount of competition? And can we see a clear trend of designs that we can create something here that's original, but taking the information that Amazon is giving us of what the customers want and using that. The first thing I think we should do is kind of cover our bases, and so we should talk about our 5-step test, which used to be the thing that we talked about every second on this channel. We've gotten away from it a little bit, but it doesn't mean that it's not still as powerful as when we first came up with it. So we've revamped it a little bit for 2020, but the basic core concepts are still there. Let's go ahead and jump into this first rule, which is we want to make sure that whatever we're typing into Amazon actually autofills. And that means going to Amazon, typing in their search bar, and making sure that it auto completes whatever we are typing in, because that represents that customers are actually going there.
We like to just go to Amazon and see what Amazon is saying. Is Amazon auto-completing this? That it's at least a good sign that other customers are searching that same thing.
The second rule that we have for our 5-step test is that they have similar product types. So similar product types and similar competition that we're going against.
Yeah, and it's not just t-shirts. Whatever product that you're planning on selling, just make sure that when you're doing market research, that product is showing up and that customers are actually purchasing it. Right. To save yourself a lot of time.
The third rule that we have is that we want to see fewer results. We've changed this rule up quite a bit over the years, but fewer results is what we're sticking with now because that means that there's less competition there.
We've tested out different numbers. We found that it's very hard to set a number here because people kind of get stuck on that number and don't start testing the market. And the true test is for you to actually put something in the market and see if it works for you. Just know that less results is less competition.
Yeah, and a lot of this changing of our 5-step test has to do with us keeping up with Amazon. The way they handle data is much different than 3 years ago, the way that they were handling data back then. So again, just trying to keep it relevant here in the new year. But the fourth rule that we have is we want you guys to look at BSRs because those will represent the sales that are happening on the page. And that's very important when deciding where and what to put a listing.
If you're going somewhere in their sales, you have a higher chance of actually selling something. Also, you just want to, like Nathaniel touched on the Goldilocks zone, you want to stay within a certain range. Otherwise, you're going to go too far down where there are possibly some sales, but not enough to justify you putting your time, energy, and effort to make that product.
And the last step that we have, step 5, is that we want less than 1 million BSR. And that's that best sellers rank, but that represents that our monthly sales happening there. And that's just due to the type of products that we're selling. A monthly sale is usually pretty good.
But we want to see that there's some products with less than 1 million BSR because those normally mean that they're selling multiple times a month. Not always a guarantee, but it's just a guideline to look at. If we are going to put our time, energy, and effort into something, we'd like it to sell more than just once a month. Your business could be different. That's what we try to look for when we put the time in to start testing our products.
Now, our full disclaimer is that there's a lot of nuance inside of this business as well. So like we said, we used to try to give exact numbers and exactly what you're looking for, even the way like titles are written and everything. But what we've learned over the years is that what works for us in our business is different for other people, like Steven said directly. So know that this is our 5-step test, but as again, Steven said, these are not rules that you have to follow. They're not written in stone, but it's just our suggestion for doing this thing for almost 4 years now of what we found accurate and that can help us speed up our time. But as it's unfair to just be like, okay, do this for 3 years, then you'll know as much as us. We want to give you guys some
That should be my advice
baselines.
from now on. Just keep doing it for 3 years and then you'll figure it out.
Yeah, we want to give you guys some baseline things to look at, to understand. And so the best way that me and Steven think that we can do that is just by going over the shoulder and showing you guys, here are some things that we're seeing when we look at this page from all of our experience put together. So yeah, I think, go ahead and jump into that. I think enough disclaimers and talking about it. Let's actually just jump in and do it.
So we'll start on Amazon. I guess the first thing I want to point out is just if you're going after a niche, something that we like to do is just type in the seed keyword, single keyword. It can be 2 or 3 keywords, but most of the time when you're doing a seed keyword, you want it to be a single keyword, and just look at Amazon and kind of see what's there. This will let you see that, are these customers just looking for shirts? Are they looking for other products? This is not necessarily where we want our product to show up, because as we can tell just from the first few products, that there's no defined product in the market. So if someone types in cat, they could want cat food, they could want cat in the hat book, they could want some gloves, oh, probably for brushing the cat, some cat shoes. Like, it's all over the place. This is not necessarily the place that we want to target. I should say it like that. We would love for our product to show up here, but this isn't really a place that we want to start targeting and trying to get our shirts to show up.
And just to give a little bit of reasoning why is because, again, we're trying to use Amazon for what it is a search engine. And that search engine is helping people selling products get in front of people who are looking for those products. So if we are ranking on this page, apparel or some type of shirt or something, and people are looking for these cat gloves, then they're probably just going to breeze right over our product and just go straight to those cat gloves. They're not too interested in what we have to sell. So, it's built into our rules a little bit, but just giving some context of why Steven's saying that. It's because we're trying to use the information that Amazon's giving us about the customers who are already shopping here. That's the power of print on demand. We get to target customers that are already there.
I like that, brother. All right, so since we are doing merch by Amazon today, we're going to put in t-shirt. And as you can see, it auto-completes as shirt. I'm actually going to put t-shirt because that is the product that we are going after. Oh, and it changed to shirt. Anyway, that's fine. I didn't want to show t-shirt anyway. So cat shirt. As you can see, the results drastically dropped. It was at 200,000. Now we're at 40,000.
So that upper right-hand corner is where we're seeing the results for what Amazon is telling us. Like, this is about how many products are here. For just cat, it was 200,000. Now that we're niching down a little bit more and going to cat shirt, this is 40,000.
I was going to point out, like, this number is, I don't know how to say this. I've gone back and forth. I've said Amazon lied. Then I said Amazon is not telling the full truth. I don't know if they're lying on purpose. I think they're testing different things here, and it's their sandbox, so you kind of have to just figure it out. But it used to say like multiple millions for cat shirts, but as you can go down and go past the first page, that number will start to jump up. Most Amazon pages now will not go past 7. So even if it's saying that there's hundreds of thousands of results here, you won't be able to see them by clicking next. So why I point this out is, most of the time when we do market research, the number that shows up after you go past page 1 doesn't really affect us. We want to know that, okay, there is probably a lot of products here. What's on the first page? And how can I use that number up top to just help guide me to what I should be doing next? So 40,000, 100,000, 2 million, regardless, that number is too high for me to test. I'm looking for smaller numbers. That's why I'll pull this again, brother. I think this was a genius idea.
Yes, I was about to tell you to pull it over.
Results is what we are looking for. Again, not a perfect number. There's not like, oh, we're looking for 100 only. Just fewer. The more you do this, the 3 years that you're going to put in to do this, you'll find the number that works best for you. Testing this out and just keeping this in the back of your head, or even writing it on an Excel doc like how we like to do, and just tracking this information. Hey, I tested 20,000. That was too much. I can't really find my shirts, or they're not selling. Now I've gone after 2,000. That seems to work better for me. I wonder if I go lower, higher. You just have to find out the fewer results, the number that works best for you.
Yeah, and not only is that going to change per like product that you're going after, or listing that you're trying to make, but also the niches can be wildly drastic. So something like cat that Steven's showing off, like, we know that this is one of, if not the most popular niche for t-shirts. Like, people on the internet just love cats, and they love wearing shirts with cats on them. It's been a fact that's proven itself over and over for us. So that's why we're showing off cat as this like huge niche that we're going to be able to niche down into a little bit. But if you're going after something super unique, I can only think of stuff that I'm not supposed to say right now. Then, you know,
well, we can say politics, because that was one that we're showing people how to go after.
If you're going after politics and you're going for a certain verbiage of a politic or a certain politician or whatever, your results are going to be probably way less than whatever that page was, 40,000. It might even be, you know, 1,000 or 500. So saying fewer compared from cats to politicians or politics, you know, that's going to be much fewer. But if you're inside of the politics niche and you kind of know, like, the biggest number that I've ever seen here is 1,000, then you're looking for something less than 1,000. As for cats, if you know the biggest number you've ever seen is 40,000, then you're looking for something less than 40,000. So it's all relative, again, not only to the product, but also the niche and what you're going after as far as the keyword and the things that you know, you're trying to target your shirts or your listings for those certain customers.
Yeah, know your niche. That's part of the asset that you're building. So like Nathaniel said, if you're constantly going after this niche and you know the number, and you can say, hey, most of the time when I'm doing research, it's this number, this is a lot less. That's a huge value add and asset that you can use to outcompete your competitors, to go, hey, this looks like it's new and emerging. I'm seeing a big difference here. Now I can start putting products here and having a lot more success than my competitors. So alien cat shirt, I should have maybe showed that this auto-completed, but you can see that auto-completes. Oops. So
again, just break that down. The auto-completes, we talked about it, but that is the results bar, or the search bar. And so that's our first rule. We're looking for it to auto-complete. So when we're typing it in, we want Amazon to complete that thing for us.
I feel like Vanna White. It autofills. Number one. So it auto-completes, and then again, we're looking for the results. I don't know if it's actually 525 other listings here, but irregardless, it's less than 40,000. I'm happy. This is what I'm looking for, to start testing to see if it's worth my time. I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to get my listings to show up where there's 40,000, because it's going to take a lot of time, energy, and effort. I have to really nail down the keywords. I've really got to figure out what's going on there and possibly get some sales to get my shirt to show up there. Whereas here, it's much easier to compete and find success, like Nathaniel said, finding that Goldilocks zone.
The art is the next thing that we start looking at when we think that we found an area that we want to try some listings or try to put up some of our own ideas here. So the first thing that I try to do is just look at the top 2 rows or whatever fits on my screen and see if there's any trends that I can pull out and see, you know, that there are customers that are coming here and they're not just looking for all kinds of random things, but they are kind of narrowed in on what they're actually purchasing, so what they're actually buying. So we can see that through the BSR, but we want to make sure that the designs are somewhat lining up. So as we're scrolling through, you can see that the color green, because it's alien stuff, is pretty popular, and also like these little funny looking Martian guys, like very cartoony. Usually most of them are not very like realistic. They're kind of cartoony guys, and again, we told you guys cats are popular. This is, I forget the exact landing page, it's alien cat shirt, I think. So you're going to want to put those two things together. So aliens and cats and some type of humor looks like that's kind of what's tying all of this together, whether directly in the saying or whether like how the alien character and the cat character are interacting. So that's the type of things that I'm seeing as we're going through this page. And so again, we're not trying to take any one of these designs directly or copy or steal them or anything. We're just trying to take inspiration from the page overall to see what's popular that customers are already purchasing. Again, I've said this once, I'm going to say it a million times tonight. We're trying to use the information that Amazon is giving us to target the customers that are looking for products here. Someone on their computer, on their phone, or whatever has typed in this saying, and they're looking for something to buy. That's their intent when they come to Amazon. So we want to provide them with something that, you know, it meets what they're typing in, right? We want to create a design that has an alien and a cat and some type of humor in it, because that's what we're seeing is popular. So usually I don't scroll down this far in the page, but you guys can see like there's a ton of different ideas that are working here as well. So part of that Goldilocks thing is you want to make sure that you're in just that like just right middle space. You don't want to be so specific that you're just, again, copying someone's artwork, but you also don't want to be so general that you're just coming up with something completely random outside of the box. You don't want to have purple aliens with a dog on this page. Like that's too far, outside of what these customers are looking for. So you want to be right there in the middle. This one's real creepy. I don't know why you stopped here.
Well, I was going to point out something that has thrown newer people off that I know. This is like one of those tidbits where we just take it for granted. These are sponsored ads. And I'm assuming most people know this, but for anybody that doesn't, this might give you a false sense of the market if you're looking at sponsored ads. So just be aware of these little, anytime there's a sponsored ad, it should in theory have this here where it says sponsored ad. But you can see that these are stacking up. You might say, oh, these are really working because there's 3 of them here. But as you can see, that they have not sold. There are no BSRs. It's just somebody's paying for these ads. And that's why they're showing up here along with this one. So there were some other sponsored ads sprinkled in. But as you can see, these are not selling. We normally, I don't want to say discount, but we don't tend to put much stock in things that are sponsored ads because they change so rapidly. It's hard to know if that stuff is really what customers want. The stuff that's showing up here organically is the stuff that we would more than likely draw inspiration from.
Yeah, and even if those sponsored ads are there and they have a rank of like 10, that means that they're probably being put in a ton of different places, and this is just like collateral damage. It's not necessarily they've targeted this page, super specifically or anything like that. And you can see for the most part that the sponsored ads are like not what the rest of the shirts on this page really look like.
Because I was going to point out, these aren't really cat or alien. They're cat, but they're not really alien cat specific. But they are both sponsored ads. One is selling very well, and the other one is not. I wouldn't necessarily go and target, oh, cat alien shirts. They're going to love this cat with glasses shirt. Just be aware of what you're looking at, and these sponsored ads could give you a false sense, like I said, of the market. Even though this one is a sponsored ad, but again, it has not sold. But you can still pull the elements like Nathaniel said, the green color, the cat. Make sure that you have certain elements in your shirt and you're more than likely to find success. Unlike when we were first doing it and going, hey, look at this. This is simple and easy for us to design. Let's throw that up there, and then realize that it doesn't have anything to do with
the customers wanted it all. So I know I kind of breezed through that, but there are 3 things that you can kind of be looking for once you've found an area that you want to at least test a listing. But the color of like what's the most dominant color, maybe 2 colors that you're seeing, the actual image on the shirts. So again, is it cats and aliens? Is it just like an alien cat combination? What style of art is there? Is it like super cartoony, realistic? And then the third thing, like what is the saying on the shirt? Some of these landing zones or some of these results pages are completely driven by just words on the shirt. They don't care what it looks like. They just want this saying on the shirt. Maybe they do care what it looks like, but it has to have this saying on the shirt. So picking up on those 3 things, what are the main colors that are being used? What kind of artwork is being used on the shirt? And then are there any sayings that are maybe driving traffic? And you'll be able to tell that some of these landing zones or results pages are only text-based shirts. So the second thing that I asked, like what type of art is working here? It's like, well, it's text-based art. So clearly we need to know what that text is saying. We need to do trademark and all that good stuff. But as you're looking over those pages, checking for those 3 things, if you're not an artist like me and can kind of just absorb all of that information and come out with something of your own, those 3 points are helpful to look at. The color, the type of art, and what those shirts are saying are just good things to key in on.